week I took on another job shop job, and this part was thin. I only needed to make one of these, but it was still pretty rough. I wanted to put it in the vise, but then I realized if I put it in the vise it might bow up or bow down. So I didn't really want to go that route, so I looked at another way. And I've seen this before. Well, the only other place that I've seen this is NYC CNC, John Saunders' YouTube channel, which is very helpful if any of you guys are machinists or like machining or anything that's automation related. That is an awesome YouTube channel to go to. If you don't already go there, I'm sure if you're watching me, you've already been there. So anyway, so the stock I got for this, I had some super thin sheet aluminum that my dad gave me a while back, and I just had it as scrap sitting underneath the bench. So naturally I used it. I mean, it was free, I didn't have to order anything, and it was right there. Awesome. And it was 180 thousandths thick, so 0.180 inches. And that's what I used to make this piece. I originally wanted to put it straight on the tooling plate, so the black fixture plate that I have sitting on my mill. I really wanted to do that, but then I realized, it's obviously the tool would go through, and I obviously didn't want it to hit the tool plate, so then I wanted to stack it on top, and then I had to put toe clamps on there. Anyway, that was just a big stupid mess, so I didn't want to go that route either. So after I took the vise clear off to put the sheet aluminum down, I realized I need to put the vise back on. So I put the vise back on real quick. I zeroed the vise out, and then I flipped the movable jaw. I flipped it to the front side to get a longer distance, so I can put a bigger piece of stock in the vise. And I got that tip from a guy that commented on a few videos back, which is awesome. Thank you for commenting that. I would have never known what those holes are in the front of the vise. So I ended up putting a big piece of flat aluminum, I think it was maybe 3/4 inch thick aluminum, and I put that in the vise. And then I laid down some Scotch 3M outdoor mounting tape, and this stuff worked awesome. I was very skeptical at first, because when I put it down on the tooling plate, I did take a small pass and it just got super chattery, and that was just dumb. I didn't like that at all. So that's when I really realized I need to move it back to the vise. So then I ran the part. And while I was running this part, I realized I needed to put tabs on it, because it's basically what they call window machining. I guess that's what it's called. So you have that big piece and you're just milling out around, just basically how I used to do with the Shapeoko and the big pieces of plywood or pallet wood. So I would just cut out of that and plunge straight down and go around. So that's basically what I'm doing here, almost the same exact thing, but on a smaller scale and metal. So I put the tabs in there so the piece wouldn't fly out, but in the end the piece didn't really fly out because it was taped down to the other piece of aluminum with that super duper heavy duty tape. So after it was all done, I was slightly scared to take it off because it was super thin, and that tape held it down so good, and I felt like I was bending it here and there, and it was just, I didn't like it. So I just took my time, had a screwdriver on both ends, took a couple screwdrivers and ended up prying it up just little by little. And I made sure to put gloves on because that stuff is sharp. Then after I got the part clear off, the tape peeled off easy. I had my gloves on still, and it was just wiping basically until it got rolled up in a big ball. And the tape came off both the part and the block of aluminum that I held it down to, and it worked great. After a bit of light sanding, it cleaned up very nice, and I was very pleased with it, seeing as how the one side was faced and the part was made, and then the other side was just raw aluminum. So I naturally sanded the bottom part so I could get a nicer finish. And I took it down maybe 1/1000th of an inch just to get where I wanted to be, right at that 90 thousandths mark. On the first one I ran, I ended up not liking one of the dimensions. And I sort of blamed this on deflection from that the tape was giving, just a little bit of too squishy. One of the dimensions was supposed to be 1.75 plus or minus 5 thousandths, and I was getting 1.723, somewhere around there, and I didn't want that. I wasn't even going to chance it, so I was like, screw it, I would just do this again. And in Fusion, you can leave stock on any type of tool path. I think you can leave however much stock you want. So I went in there and I left, on the new part, I left probably 5 thousandths. And after it got done with that, I measured it to make sure. And then I think I ended up left another 2 thousandths after that. So after a couple passes, I ended up getting it right, and it looked great. And I was very pleased with how it turned out. So in the end, if you ever CNC machine with double-sided tape, make sure you account for any deflection, because that will get you, and you're not going to like the end result. Luckily, I had a bunch of stock left over, and I could still do it anyway. So, worked out. Well, I think that's it for this week, but we got another video coming up on Sunday, so stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.